So good morning, boys and girls, it's Grandpa Chris here. It's oh my god o'clock in the morning, just setting off down to Diva Springs for a day with my good friend Andy Banting. Today we're going to be unveiling the new bloke rod which Andy built for me and which arrived earlier in the week. It's a 9-foot 5-weight rod which
at the end of the road, turn right.
She always interrupts me when I'm speaking, this flaming tom-tom woman, but never mind, we'll carry on. Yeah, Andy built the rod for me and to my specifications. It arrived early in the week. It looks absolutely fabulous.
Turn right.
See what I mean? She does interrupt a lot, doesn't she? So we're going to hopefully baptise the rod this morning. It'd be nice to catch into one of the big blues that are reportedly coming off at Diva. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and I'll wake you up when we get to Diva. Thank you, guys.
After 100 yards, you have reached your destination. You have reached your destination.
Okay, wakey wakey boys and girls. I told you I'd wake you up when we got there. Just pulling in at the front gate of Diva Springs. It's going to be a while before we open up. In fact, the gates are open. That's nice. I'm going to take advantage. I'm down here this morning to meet Andy Banting to unveil the custom-built bloke rod that he has made for me. It's a 9-foot 5-weight, which I'm really looking forward to baptising, hopefully getting into something reasonable with it. Just going past Willow at the moment. It's, as you can see, it's still dark out. I can't see much on the water at all. A few little reflections, but I'm not seeing anything moving around. I wouldn't expect to in the dark. And it would appear that there's nobody else here. Pull up to the curb, sir. Into neutral. Handbrake on, engine off. And relax. So, good morning boys and girls. Grandpa Chris here. I'm back down at Diva this morning, meeting Andy Banting for a little day. You can see it's only just cracking some daylight. I'm the only one here at the moment. Gate was open, so I just drove straight through. Just looking out over Willow Lake, seeing fish moving around. There's a big dorsal fin just in front of me. Cruising on the surface. It looks amazing this morning. It's the middle of November. It's about 12 degrees. Flat calm. All you can hear is bird song. No doubt this is a beautiful place to be. It really is a beautiful place to be. Over this last week, photographs of some of the fish that have been caught here have been just awe-inspiring. I'm really looking forward to tagging into one of those. You're not really going to be able to see too much in there. All the fish pointing towards the aerator there through the grill. There's a lot of fish in there, but you're not going to be able to see them in this light through the camera. These are all around about the 3 to 4 pound mark, so they've still got a couple of years of growing before they'll be put out.
Yeah, they've been stuck out. One of the fishing mates, Ian, come down here last week. Last Tuesday. We got a 10-pound tiger, beautiful fish.
Wow!
There's a picture on the site.
Yeah. I mean, I can only just about manage a 5-pound tiger, but that was out of Thornwood a couple of 3 weeks ago.
It really is luck of the draw, really.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Especially fine casting,
Yeah.
journey down.
Very good. I ended up having to stop at Fleet for I had to force a bacon bat down because I was so far ahead of schedule. Normally about 2 to 2.5 hours, and I was down in Fleet, hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, I put the speed limiter on at 71 miles an hour and just decided to wake up once I got to Fleet. Traffic was so easy. No doubt I shall be punished in a few hours' time.
Where the other side of London, I take it, then?
Yeah, bottom of the M11.
Okay.
So I can pretty much see the Olympic site from my back bedroom window.
Oh, really?
And we had 4 years of listening to that being built.
Yeah.
4 years at 24 hours a day, thump, thump, thump.
Then a few weeks use and then nothing.
Yeah. Now we have to put up with the sounds of West Ham United being successful.
Okay.
They won a throw-in last weekend, and the cheer that came out the ground. So, I've been joined by Andy this morning, and we're going to be baptising the new bloke rod which Andy made for me. A 5-weight, 9'6" carbon composite rod. In a few moments I'm going to be having my first ever cast with it, and Andy, he's gone ahead, he's having a little bit of a sneak. Going to watch him this morning and learn from the master. This is Andy's local water. Has some great success in here. It's going to be lovely having a day with him. It's not so easy seeing into the water today so far. It's a bit early, isn't it? So, here we go. The first cast. I've put my August Batten Kill mid-arbor reel on. Got a 7-weight shooting headline. And I've put one of Martin's copper stalking bugs on to start with. Just a little bit of blind casting to start the day. It's difficult seeing through the water at the moment.
fish on. So, third cast with the new rod, and I am into a fish which is hanging very, very deep. Feels very powerful. It was just an absolutely slamming take. Just stopped and stripped the line away out of my hands. Just pulled the line right out of my hands. Tell you what, Andy, this feels quite decent. Going right across in front of Andy at the moment. Can you see it under your feet there? So I've been fishing less than you could have done. Yeah, it would have saved me some effort. What Andy was saying is he could have netted the fish for me there. It got so close to him. Tell you what, feels nice on this little twig, Andy. Right up against the bank in the reeds there. Right, what's going to be interesting now is that huge frond of weed could slide down the line. In the net, and boys and girls, it's a big brown. It's a stunning brown, and there's not a hook within a foot of its mouth. So back in a second. So there you go, boys and girls. That's why it was such a struggle. It's hooked in the dorsal fin. Not a bad start to the day. Not a bad start to the day at all. And Andy's in. So just put this on the stringer. Oh, it's a beautiful fish. Look at the colours on that.
Isn't that lovely rainbow?
Isn't he beautiful? And that's your 5 weight,
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
the same blanket.
the wand.
Yes.
It shows your skill levels. You can get the hook to go in the mouth.
That's a lovely fish, isn't it?
Beautiful colours on him. Absolutely beautiful.
A beautiful diva rainbow.
So we've been fishing less than 5 minutes.
Is that all it is now?
Yeah.
That's lovely, isn't it? It's lovely to get that tug on the rod, isn't it?
Isn't it ever? So when did you start making the blanks, the rods?
It's only probably just over a year ago now.
How did you get into it?
I decided I was having a look online at all different rods and stuff, and I saw an advert for the bloke rod blanks. So then I thought about it a few times, and in the end I thought, I'm just going to go for it, I'm just going to buy one. So I brought one, had a go with it, I had a conversation with Mick, who owns Bloke Rods. Very, very helpful with every stage of the way through it. He had YouTube clips, videos of how to do whatever. His information is brilliant because he's been doing it for 20 odd years. So then I decided to have a go. I made a few mistakes on my first rod, as you do. And I've learnt from my own experiences really, and from Mick helping me. And after that, then I started making them for friends. And then it's just escalated from there.
So how many have you done over these last
No, I've
couple of years?
lost count. There's probably about 70 or 80 in circulation.
Wow. I know I've got a good one, the way that held onto that brown trout there.
Yeah, I was amazed to be honest. I mean, I've got some lovely rods, Orvis, Hardy, even Airflow. So
Do you just do fly rods? Or
Yes,
Yeah.
fly rods and salmon. I've only ever done one salmon rod up to now, but it's exactly the same principle. But yeah, they're beautiful rods.
So how quickly were you able to pick up the whipping of the runners and the likes of that?
After
Was it-
watching loads of YouTube clips,
Yeah.
and then, like I said, I had a first go. I had to reband my first rod because I mucked up a few guides. I think most people, when they start, they put too many whippings on.
Yeah, that was my problem. I made a couple of sea rods, a couple of beach caster type rods, and these things you needed 2 hands just to get them out of the pack, let alone cast them like
Sure,
the
that's right,
6
yeah.
ounces. And I found that the whippings of the rings were so chunky, no matter what I tried to do. I mean, maybe it was the fact that I was using rope to tie them on and not the whipping
Maybe, yeah.
cottons, but.
But I have learned, obviously, that you get the guides and they're not prepped for you to put on the blank. You've got to use a Dremel and get the point down, just so you can get the whipping to slide up on the guide foot easily. If it's too much of a step,
Yeah.
then it'll always show the step.
Yeah, I mean, I've got short, stubby fingers, and they're not built for delicate work. Not built for delicate work at all. I mean, I could never have followed my father's footsteps. He was a watchmaker, but I could never have followed his footsteps. But no, this is just such a fabulous start.
I enjoy making them, I really do. It's a hobby that I really enjoy doing. And it's really nice to turn up on a fishery. And there's last week I went down to Rockbourne with a few friends and stuff, acquaintances through fishing, and there was there was 5 of us fishing out of the 11, 12 down there, all with my rods. And it's a lovely feeling watching them catch on the rod that I've made.
Yeah, I mean, last time I was down at Rockbourne, I met Niall, and he insisted on me pulling his rod. First 2 occasions I cast it, I stuffed it up a tree. And I kept on saying, the rod is telling me no. Go for it, Chris. Go for it. Go for it, Chris. Go on. And yeah, I just felt so aware, not only the work that had got in, but the value that it had as far as Neil was concerned. It was his bespoke rod, made specially for him, and he's letting an ex-butcher like me loose with this fabulous piece of
Let's
kit.
face it, to be honest, you turn up on a fishery or something and you're using a fly that you've chosen, you're using a rod that you've chosen, you're using a line and reel that you've chosen. A lot of it's all down to your inner confidence.
Mm.
If you've not got confidence in any of the kit that you've got, you won't catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if something gives you that extra edge of confidence, then so be it, go for it.
Well, 2 casts, 1 fish, decent brown, solid lump, really solid take, great pull, fantastic balance. I love the grip. The grip just gives me so much reassurance in my hand.
Oh, good.
So let's see what happens when I get the grip wet, see whether it is still as good. But first impressions.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm going to be sticking quite close to you and videoing some of your catches as the day goes on. Because, I mean, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Banting of Drew Fly Rods, right? He's proven that they work. I've got a fabulous brown already in the net, albeit caught in the dorsal fin, but that takes almost as much skill to catch a fish in the dorsal fin. The strike has to be timed perfectly.
Especially the
So,
fight getting it in.
absolutely right, absolutely right. So, yeah. Okay, so come round underneath the first of the willows. I've put the egg out about 20 yards. One thing I'm finding with this new rod is casting, whether or not it's the reel and the line that I'm using, I can't get the real distance that I can with the 7 weight. It is a very comfortable rod, very light. It's great fun walking around with. You hardly notice that you've got it. But so far what I've noticed is that it just doesn't roll the line over as much as the slightly heavier rod does. So maybe I'm just using the wrong line on it. But over the next few weeks I shall try a few different reels and a few different lines on it. To see whether that makes any difference. But first impressions is I'm very impressed with the rod. I think it's very comfortable. The half whale's grip on it is so comfortable in the hand, it fits perfectly. And Andy's in. Scrapping quite nicely. Looks quite a nice fish, looks to be about 6 or 7. So Andy's in again. He's fishing on a blue flash damsel, doing a bit of fan casting, and that really was a solid take. One of the more explosive takes I've seen. I'm going to give this egg pattern a few more minutes, and then I'm going to go over onto blue flash damsel as well. See if I can change my luck. So we're just doing some stocking. Just putting some big fish going in there. Let's put some very big fish in there. Okay. Now on to my second fish of the day. Taken on the egg pattern. Right on its, I can see the fly right on the end of its nose. Just again trying to get into the edge. Actually quite a nice fish. Yes. Right, It's a very nice fish. And the egg has come out in the net. Fish of about 4 pounds. So there you go. You can see the egg pattern just there. As I said, it's a fish of about 4.5 to 5 pounds. Very, very welcome. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half since I last had a shaker. I've just come round back underneath the second willow, and I'm using the fly that Andy gave me. And this is actually quite a decent fish. This looks like a very decent fish. Looks like a very decent fish. Only my best of the day. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. There we go. So there's the hook in its mouth. That one feels to be maybe 8 or 9 pounds. That's a beautiful fish. Thank you, Andy. So we'll put it onto the stringers. Up through the gill. And click it into the little slot. And push that back. And then that goes into the water. And that gets pegged down. And I say hallelujah. Thank you, Andy Banting. It is.
There is no right and wrong.
It was just about there.
Really? Rained in the bag.
Hey. And again, as you suggested, it was very slow, very tweaky.
Yeah. It seems to.
Gives them time to have a look at it.
That's right. It's
And,
a theory.
Yeah. He probably said to himself, well, it looks like one of Martin's flies, but it's probably Andy that's tied it.
I don't know. I can't compete with that.
I mean, the speed with which he ties them as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, he does it in multiple steps. You hook ready and then put it away, hook ready, put it away, then he'll put this bit on, move on to the next one.
But the consistency is outstanding.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
100 and every single one of that same pattern. Completely identical. But not only that, you can't compete with his consistency
No.
and his
No.
quality. And he doesn't skimp on any material, so top quality material.
Yeah. I've not seen anything to compete with them.
Not at all. No, not at all. No, he used to work on a tackle shop apparently.
Hmm.
For years. And he retired. Was it last year?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and good luck to us at Marbles what he does.
Mm.
Blows outstanding. But not only that, he doesn't sit there on the same fly year in, year out. He moves all the time with times and his designs and his forethought and all the rest of it. It's just brilliant.
Definitely seasonal. In the last batch that I ordered from him, but 2.5 weeks ago, it was on the first day that he was starting with the winter patterns.
Yeah.
And it came through. Martin knows that I like to fish under the bung, and the second rainbow that I had just underneath here was on one of his egg flies. So he's not just the tungsten bead specialist.
No, he's got a lot of bows in his armoury. Is that the right word? Oh, brilliant. He's a really nice bloke as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very helpful. I was having trouble with some of my beads at one point, getting on the hook and getting them on the bar on the bend.
Mm-hmm.
And he guided me on what to do. Buy from a certain supplier, they're bigger holes. You know, it's like, wow. It'd have taken me however long and however many pounds and buying all different ones to close that one out.
Yeah. I think he sends to Germany for most of his stuff.
The ones that the suppliers that he gives to me were just online, local in England anyway. Yeah, none of them are foreign. But
Saying some of the stuff that's come in from Germany he's never seen the likes of before, and he's been tying the really gaudy oranges and the yellows that he's never seen the depth of colour before. And yeah, he's definitely a gifted tyer.
I tend to find even with rod building stuff, because you tend to like America and Germany, they do some beautiful supplies of wood for the spaces on reel seats and stuff. Here tends to be, England tends to be a little bit tamer in their colour. Germany and America, especially America, you can get some really gaudy stuff, really loud stuff, you know. It looks really nice, but there's not real. It doesn't appear to be a big market for it here. It's too loud.
Half. Yeah, I'm not quite able to reach in that. That's a Hewell Morgan cast, that is.
There is an old gent that comes by there. I can't remember his name, escapes me. He's got a picture up on the board. He's an elderly gentleman, comes in with his long old coat, his all old stuff he's got up. And he just looks absolutely so graceful. He was standing up back there in a minute. He can get right out into the middle of this lake. And it just looks completely effortless. And I'm like, how does he do that? Absolutely. I'm watching in awe. I've not even properly mastered a double oar at all yet.
If I were to try anything like that, my arm would probably fall off and lie on the floor in front of me.
The trouble is, a single handle, you put sort of effort into that last bit.
Yeah.
Watching this gent do it, and he was double oaring, but it was just so graceful and slow. And honestly, he could get me right down in the middle of this lake, and I'm like, that is outstanding. And he'd always catch the big fish because he can always get out to it.
I'm going to have to rest my shoulder fairly soon. It's starting to tighten up.
On the bunk.
Yeah, I'll go back over onto that one because I can get halfway across. Yeah, I know there seems to be a slightly deeper hole further out on a specific line, and I can just about reach it. But
Anyway, you done
No, I asked Andy if it's just the fly rods that he builds, because I've had interest from a couple of my friends looking for predator rods, spinning rods and the likes of that. At the moment it is just fly rods that he makes, but if somebody around has a kit rod, buys a kit in of another type and he wants made up, Andy will be very happy to take that rod and make that kit for you. So that's something to bear in mind.
Boys and girls, we're heading home now. It's just after 2:20 in the afternoon. It's been a very enjoyable day. Now, my appraisal of the bloke rod, built for me by Andy Banting of Drew Rods, spoken with him at length, and the rod is absolutely superb. For a 5-weight rod, it has immense power. There's great control, tremendous feel. The balance is just simply superb. The only thing that towards the end I managed to work out the pace of casting stroke, the amount of pop that I needed to put into it, and also how much of the actual shooting head of the line I needed to have through the guides before getting the line to shoot right out. And towards the end of the session I was casting it between 35 and 40 yards quite comfortably. It would be a different proposition if I were using a shooting headline. I think I would be able to cast it more consistently and cast it further with a shooting headline. It feels to me as though you need to go 1 weight line up. I was using a 6-7 weight line.
Turn left.
I think the rod could quite comfortably handle a 7-8 weight line, and still give the casting distance and still give the casting accuracy. Quite honestly, it's a superb piece of kit. I was concerned about the grip, what it would feel like, what the carbon would feel like when wet, but it turns out that even when wet, this carbon grip is just, it's so tacky, so comfortable in the hands. There's no slipping in the hands, you have full control. Even with a light hand grip that I use, it's simply a superb piece of kit. And for the investment made, I know of no better rod. The power that you have, the balance that you have, the construction of the rod is just simply superb. It is class, utter class. And that's down to the skills of Andy Banting. It's down to the quality of the blank, the quality of the rod mount. Simply a superb piece of kit. Speaking with Andy, I asked him if he makes any other type of rod or builds any other type of rod, and he said at the moment he's focusing just on the fly rod because the suppliers of the blanks only do. But he did say that if any of you have a rod that you would like him to build and have the kit but don't know how to go about it, then he will very, very happily build the rod for you to the same incredibly high standard that he applies to the fly rods. He has skills. Undoubtedly he has great skills, and I feel very, very privileged to own a custom handmade bloke rod. And my bloke rod is endorsed with my nickname, Grandpa Chris, and he will endorse your rods as you would like and in whatever fashion that you would like. And there are a multitude of styles, grip, whippings, conversation to be had, how you would like Andy to build your model. All in all, I'm very, very happy, very impressed with the work that Andy has done. Personally, he's an immensely generous man. He is a very knowledgeable man. I'm proud to call him my friend. So this is Grandpa Chris heading back up towards London. Wishing you all well. Thank you for listening. And by all means look for Andy Banting online and give him a call, because he's an immensely approachable man. So tight lines, boys and girls, tight lines.